What's up, everybody? Michael Johnson here with the Business Choreography Podcast. I'm excited you joined me today because today we have a very special guest with us. And this is something you don't want to miss because this is super important. Today we have Kenneth Ferrier. He's a seasoned tax consultant with over 15 years of experience in helping individuals and businesses navigate the complexities of taxation. His expertise in tax laws, regulations, and strategic planning has made him a trusted advisor to clients seeking to optimize their financial affairs and minimize their tax liabilities. Throughout his career, Kenneth has worked as a diverse client with a diverse clientele, including small businesses, corporations, and high net worth individuals. And today, we are lucky enough to have him here with us to share his wisdom and his journey. So let's cue the intro and we'll jump right in. Listen, there's a lot to learn when growing and scaling your business.
That's why we created the Business Choreography Podcast, where we talk about choreographing your marketing, operations, and sales into dynamic systems that increase your revenue and your impact.
We'll explore solid business principles and discuss all things that make businesses dance to success with clarity.
We'll help you figure out where the holes are in your business and what you can do to fix them. Think of us as your official business choreographers, aka your insider growth strategists.
Remember, your choreography matters. Welcome to the Business Choreography Podcast. Kenny, welcome to the show. I am so excited that you're here today. Thanks for joining us.
How are you, Michael? Hey, everyone. How you doing?
All right. Yeah, we're doing great. We're doing great, especially because you're here. You're going to talk with us about
one
of those things that everybody's kind of worried about all the time, and everybody's kind of got in the background. We all know we have to deal with it. We all know we don't want to deal with it. And unfortunately, some people don't deal with it. And that's where your specialty comes in, because you can help them for the trouble maybe they got themselves into. Anyway, we're going to dig into all of that today. But first, I know it's never a straight road to get to where you're at. You're rocking it right now. You got so many cool things happening. And I would love for you to share with us your journey and how you got to this point where you're doing what you're doing. Like, how did the road go to get here?
It actually was a very interesting road, as you and I laughed about a little bit. I originally was doing construction when I was younger, and I had a fantastic career down in New York City doing all the advertisements and displays down in Times Square. But unfortunately, I got hurt really badly, and that cost me my career.
Wow.
So I had to do something. My daughter was just born at the time, so I had to make sure that I can do something for my family. We were in the process of moving down to the state of Florida at the time to take care of my dad. My dad has some issues with his heart, so I wanted to make sure that he was always comfortable and in his home for the rest of his life. So I got an opportunity down here to do what I'm doing right now. A wonderful gentleman gave me this opportunity. He's from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I'm from New York. We kind of just immediately hit it off, talking with each other. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to give you a shot. And I was like, okay. So they gave me a little bit of training and everything for a couple of months. And instantly it was something that it just hit the heart, because, I've always been a person that wants to help people. It's a passion of mine is to help people. So when the opportunity rose and I got to learn something new in my life that would allow me to be successful as well too, I ran with it. So, here I am right now. I've worked for a couple wonderful firms here in the state of Florida. And then all of a sudden, it just came to me. I was like, you know what? I need to be doing this for myself and for my family. So here we are. And
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about taxes.
Everybody's favorite subject.
Everybody's favorite subject. So those listening today, I know you were tempted to skip this episode because, that's who wants to talk about taxes, but we've got Kenny here with us and he's going to make it much better. So a lot of times, and I experienced this, you and I talked about it, Kenny, in a previous conversation. I'll look at a business or I'll be working with a business. And one time I came across a business and we thought it was a good business. We were going to buy it. We ended up finding out that they hadn't paid their taxes for 2 years.
Due diligence
Oh
is
my,
what you call it, right?
that's what we call it, due diligence. And we
Due
got it
diligence.
and we were like, oh my gosh. And they said, well, is that a problem? And I said, that's tax evasion. So I thought, yeah, that's definitely a problem. And that certainly made their business worth less. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, what are some of the things that you've seen? Like how come businesses aren't paying their taxes, and how do they get into these places where they're in so much trouble?
Wow, I mean that's a great question, Michael. Even touching on your situation with that, I mean, that's a little bit of a red flag when somebody's not open and honest about that. Because a lot of times when you do a merger like that with someone, you're going to be agreeing to taking on that tax debt or having them accept responsibility, and then you purchase the business. But unfortunately, in that situation, it is what it is, what you explained. Now, a lot of individuals get in with employee withholding. They have a bunch of employees that are on their payroll that are W-2, that they don't pay their employee withholding, their 941s or their 940s. 941s are quarterly withholdings for anybody that's wondering what that term is. 940s are yearly employee withholding. So it is so important to keep up with that, because it's one of the biggest things that the IRS looks for, especially for a bigger business. Now, a smaller business, for an individual that's, say, a sole proprietorship that goes through their own personal Social Security number, or even set up as a small LLC or an S corp, it's important to make what's called estimated tax deposits. Monthly, which I say monthly now because I steer all my clients now to a monthly estimated tax deposit. Because as a small business, how much money you're generating monthly. So it's important. And from that point, you can always generate the percentage that goes to the IRS and the percentage that goes to the State Department, if you're in a state that has taxes as well, and make sure that those payments are made. So at the end of the year, you end up owing nothing, instead of having a large liability. So,
Right.
and then we come to an individual that is, say, a W-2 first, that doesn't take out enough withholding. So at the end of the year, they might have a small balance. It might be $500 or $600 or $700, which is small, but then all of a sudden, over a few years and a lot of penalty and interest later, it turns into a bit of a mountain.
Right.
So we have all kinds of directions, like you just asked, that we go over with individuals, with small businesses, and even our larger folks that think that they can get around that situation.
Well, I mean, and on one end, I've experienced and found that there are people that did it unknowingly, and they thought, oh, well, I can just kind of put it off
Absolutely.
till later. But then obviously I hope none of my listeners are the listeners that are doing it intentionally and avoiding it. But I do think that there's also those moments in business, especially when people are bootstrapping businesses, where they're just trying to get by. They're trying to make it through. And the next thing you know, they find themselves in trouble, trying to figure out how to catch up, how to be able to pay that liability off when it's all said and done. And so talk to us a little bit about how you can help in that scenario, because I think a lot of people feel like they're they don't want to call the IRS. They kind of are embarrassed that they got themselves into that scenario or situation. So what is it that you can do for them to help them through those phases? Because you're one of the least judgmental people I've ever met, and as I chatted with you in our first conversation, I was just so taken aback by your willingness to help people and willingness to just be there on their side. And I kind of want to bring that across to everybody. Like they can get in touch with you, and there's not going to be any judgment on it. It's just going to be, how can you get it done? So talk to us about what you can do with them if they find themselves in any of those situations that we described.
First of all, thank you for that amazing compliment. That's awesome. And that's exactly what I want to portray to anybody that I speak to, because it's so important to me that the help comes first, and that there is no sort of judgment or anything, because we're all the same people. We're normal people. We're working. We're trying to get by. We're taking care of our most important thing, which is our family.
Right.
And I want you to understand that when we sit and we talk, that's exactly what it is. We're two people talking. We're trying to work out a solution to get you where you need to be. And most problems are not as big as you think. You know, we make them bigger ourselves because we worry and worry and worry, which is
Right.
the nature of the beast. But with a little help and a little guidance, you know, I want to get people where they are. And the biggest thing that I stress is the future, because we've already done the arrearment. We've already taken care of what's already existing now, but we got to make sure that you don't, and you'll hear me say this all the time, we don't reaccrue additional debt. Because once we pull the reins and we know what the problem is, then we can go in and get a solution for it and make sure that it never happens again.
So you not only can help on getting things caught up, but you can also help with the planning to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
That's probably the most crucial thing that I stress.
Right.
And, you know, people, they make fun of me and, you know, around the office, and, you know, they're like, oh, we hear you say, you know why you hear me say this. And I try to teach younger people in this industry that that's the most important thing. When you speak to most firms, they're kind of counting on you coming back again. They'll set you up with an installment arrangement. They'll get you current with your filings. And then they won't tell you that if you owe again next year, that the IRS has a very good chance that they're going to default you on any type of installment arrangement that you're on. So we want to single that point out and say, hey, what do we need to do to make sure that that doesn't happen again? So
Right.
we figure out, and that's why I do an initial IRS investigation first, or evaluation, because we got to pinpoint first what's going on in order to go in and actually get a realistic solution for it.
Right. Now that makes a lot of sense. And being able to dig into that, I think I'd like to just sort of bring up the other side of it. You know, not only if people have gotten themselves into trouble, yeah, of course they want to make it better for the future. So that's great that we know that you can help with that. And there's oftentimes embarrassment, you know, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I should have known
That's
better.
a major. Yeah, that's a
know,
major.
but how, you know, not only that, but now they've got to let you inside their books, and they've got to let you inside what they're doing. How
Yeah.
can you ease their fear of allowing you into the books and allowing you into the finances? Because a lot of people are worried about that. A lot of people are afraid of allowing somebody else in to see what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's their baby.
Right.
This is my baby. And I want people to come to me like that and say, hey, you know, this is my world. And getting into somebody's world is the most special thing about it, is that I want you to be comfortable with everything that we talk about.
Right.
And any way that I can do that is number one goal. So just by having an initial conversation and letting people know about me, letting people know about what I've been through. I've been through tax situations myself as well. So I know firsthand what to do and how to get out of them. So not only from experience of working with clients, but, you know, even back in the day, personal experience of my own. So that's what gets us to that point where now there's another thing that I want to start doing too, is I want to get people to start doing things on their own.
Right.
Okay. Because a lot of situations, people can take care of themselves. They just need that little push.
Sure.
Yeah. That little bit of help, you know, and the first thing everybody fears is, oh, I'm going to call a company. They're going to be too expensive. They're going to take my money. And I'm getting rid of all that in this industry, because I've worked for firms I've been a part of. And as I told you, one of the biggest things that we talked about, you and I, was that when you tell somebody you're going to help them, you help them. You make sure you do anything you can to help them. And as long as somebody's being as honest with me, then I can help them to the best of my ability.
Right. Well, talk to me a little bit about some of the things that people should look out for? I mean, they if they're in this situation, the likelihood is they've been potentially looking for some solutions. And what are some of the red flags that they should keep their eye open for? Because obviously, maybe they hadn't heard of you and haven't had us come in and go, hey, you should check out Kenny.
Absolutely.
But there are a lot of people out there that are worried about being scammed in this space. Like, how can people at least see some of the red flags in this space?
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. First of all, when you have an initial conversation with someone, within 10 or 15 minutes, if they're giving you a large dollar figure of what it's going to cost, instant red flag.
Okay.
Because, honestly, the situation that how does somebody know what's going on with maybe 10, 8, 7 years of your life when they've only been speaking to you for 10 or 15 minutes on the phone? So
Right.
how can they go in and quote you, Mr. Johnson, it's going to take us $6,000 to do something.
Right.
And my first question would be, okay, well, how do you even know what's going on with my situation other than the little bit that I've told you?
Right.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they kind of hold off on some information sometimes. So when you actually go in and do that initial evaluation, that's when we actually get the whole picture.
Sure.
So when I go in and I set a consultation with someone and I say, hey, I have all the information now. Now it's time for us to go sit down and go over what's actually really going on and what can be done with this.
Right. Right. I love that. I think it's probably in every industry that there's people taking advantage of others, but I do
Absolutely.
feel like it's important, especially in this industry where you really need to do it right, and you really need to be able to get back on your feet and get through those times and move to the next chapter. And I think it sounds uh, so inviting to have somebody that can be on our side, somebody that can not only help us get out of what trouble we were in, but also help us plan for the future and make sure it doesn't happen again. I think that's a nice whole package that all of us can look forward to. What does it look like to come in and work with you? If somebody out there listening right now is like, yeah, okay, I just need to pull the trigger and
Mhm.
and move forward, what does it look like to come in and work with you and your team?
I try to make it as a comfortable as experience as I possibly can. Sharing that type of information is not an easy thing for people.
Right.
And, certain people are very upfront,
Yeah.
but then there's certain people that are they hold everything in until, it's breaking point.
Sure.
So I want to get everybody on that same level where we can just sit down and talk, just like you were talking to your best friend of 40 years or your neighbor or anything, somebody that you really look forward to talking to, because at the end of the road of our conversation, there's going to be financial freedom,
Right.
and I like to call it that because that's what it is. Finally, there's some light at the end of the tunnel. We got some financial freedom that we're looking forward to.
I love it.
This situation is something that individuals go to bed with at night and they
Right.
wake up with in the morning. It doesn't go away. So it's up to me, it's up to my team to actually speak with you and get you to the point of being comfortable where we can get it all out. Okay. One of the things I told you is you be as honest as you can with me, and I'll do anything in my power to help you and your family.
Right. Right. I love that. The I guess the last question on the table here is, you said and mentioned that you're in Florida, but what about, like, can you work with people all over, or do they have to be in Florida?
No, I want everyone across the country. I want to help as many people as I possibly can. I have clients all over California, New York, anywhere they have a tax issue, any state that has a tax issue.
Great.
Anybody that has IRS or any type of state issue could come and talk with us. I with open arms.
I
I
love
look,
that.
yeah.
All right. Well, so how can people get in contact with you? I think you said that you just opened up a new group, and they should probably go check that out for sure.
Absolutely. I want everybody to come and check it out. It's called IRS Debt Erasers. and it's a permanent path to financial freedom.
Okay.
Okay. And it's basically a permanent path to resolution is what we call it.
Nice.
Because it's a group that people can comfortably come in, no judgment, full confidentiality. Go in, ask any questions initially if you want to do that. Introduce yourself to the group, and the overall is getting the help that you need so we can get you through this situation. So that's one of the reasons why I launched this group with the wonderful folks of Facebook and clients and community helping me.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Great. Well, we'll put the information for people in the description. So if you're listening, go to the description. You'll be able to click on the links available there for you to get to Kenny. Kenny, can you leave us with some great words of advice for us before we head out?
Okay. Basically, I want everybody to, no matter if there's going to be a liability with the IRS, I want to make sure that everybody knows that the best thing still is to always file the return. One of the biggest things that I talk with clients about is that no matter what, always get that tax return filed and in, because we can always deal with any type of liability, okay, and get you out from that. But when you don't file, then it becomes a much, much, much bigger situation than we ever dreamed of. So get those taxes filed. There's not a thing in the world that I can't help you with.
Awesome. That's great. I appreciate you coming and spending your time with us today and sharing your wisdom and your journey and your experience. It's so nice to know that there's someone out there like you that can help us and that that can really make a difference. So guys, go check it out. Check out the links in the description. And as usual, keep working on choreographing your business, all parts, even your taxes.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today.
Want more business choreography?
Check out our website at bizchoreo.com to find out more.
And find out how the choreography for your marketing, operations, and sales can raise your revenue and create more impact.
Remember, every business needs choreography.